Well, greetings, Facebook world. I've been building an audience because I need to build an audience. I'm not even sure why I need to build an audience because I'm not really sure why anyone would want to watch this, especially with me hosting. Normally, I'm on the other side of the camera, so this is new to me, so you're going to have to cut me some slack here a little bit. Because first thing I screwed up with is I'm starting this out in my drink is empty, so I'll fix that later. But anyway, gun club stories. So we are here tonight because of a worldwide phenomenon that we created in 2011. We didn't really even know what we were going to do, or what we were doing, but I had an idea. My dad and his friends in the south central Kansas area, specifically Anthony, Kansas, Wichita, Kansas, Harper County. They, I'm not even sure how to say this, but basically they had a lot of fun when in their younger years. And it kind of all started back. Actually, I mean, my dad. It all about. Okay, this all stems about telling stories. My dad could tell a story like nobody's business, and it seems like all of his friends could too. A lot of these stories center around hunting and fishing, and some around Army stories, National Guard stories, Kansas National Guard. A lot of the characters you are going to see tonight is unfortunately they're no longer with us, which is kind of one of the reasons I'm doing this now. Facebook Live, everybody's texting. When we recorded this in 2011. We had no idea that about 4 months later that we would lose one of the main characters in these videos. Doug Mount obviously passed away way too early in 2012. And he's a lot of the reason that we're doing what we're doing now, today, in the past. Doug Mount and my dad were best friends, and they told lots of stories. I grew up hearing all these stories, and I took a lot of these. Well, I took it all for granted. I guarantee you, I just took all these stories for granted. I heard them. Friends heard them. Everybody would always have a good time. Usually after hunts, we would gather around the living room floor. Telling these stories, everybody on the floor rolling, laughing, and that's how I grew up. That was kind of my livelihood. Later on in life, I'd move away and go to college, and then I'd come back and maybe bring some friends over, and these guys would get together and then they'd tell their stories. And I still have friends to this day that remind me of the time that we went back to Anthony, Kansas, and my dad and Doug Mount and his buddies told these stories of their younger years hunting and fishing. And I almost probably maybe once a month I get a text or a message on Facebook with somebody telling these stories, and it's kind of nice to hear and kind of warms my heart. And so back in 2011, I thought, you know what, we need to get some of these stories on tape because they're going to be gone. And little did we know it was going to come to fruition with Doug leaving us. And after that. Johnny Berry, which is another character in these videos, he left us as well, and then of course about a year ago, this week, my dad passed away, and then here recently, about a month ago, Phil Arnett passed away. So all the main characters in these clips are now no longer with us, which makes this kind of even more special. But anyway, what I wanted to do tonight is we recorded probably about 4 hours worth of footage kind of off and on throughout that night. It was so cold. We did this at the Anthony Gun Club in Anthony, Kansas, and I got a hold of Phil Arnett. He had taken care of the Anthony Gun Club forever, him and Marilyn. And I said, Phil, do you care if we go out and film some stuff at the gun club? And he says, I don't care, but I'll tell you who you need to get a hold of. So we did it. We got access to it, and it was so cold. This was around Christmas, 2011, Christmas. And it was really, really cold. It got really cold early. And they had an old potbelly stove in there, wood-burning stove. And it probably had never been fired up in probably 10, 15 years. And we didn't know if we were going to burn the place down or not. So I went and I went and bought a propane tank and a propane burner to kind of heat the place up. But we did get that stove fired up. We found some wood over in the tree grove and fired it up, and we didn't burn the gun club down, but we definitely warmed it up in there. In fact, we had to turn it off because it got so hot that that old stove really worked. So, but anyway, we recorded all this, and we put it together. There was 4 episodes that I originally released, and then there was some bonus footage later. But tonight is mainly what we're gonna do is we're gonna show all of the footage that we've already put on Facebook and put on YouTube. So a lot of this stuff some people are gonna have seen before. Some of it, maybe if you haven't seen any of this stuff before, hang on. You're either gonna love it and you're gonna hate it. And I apologize, but I hope you like it because it's kind of fun, and there's been a lot of positive response from the footage that we have put out there. So anyway, the first one you're going to see is episode 1 of the Gun Club Stories. This is where my dad and Doug Mount first met. It kind of explains how they got together and kind of brings us to the beginning of our story here. So anyway, episode 1. Here we are at the Anthony Gun Club. You guys have a lot of history.
Lots of history.
Here. There's lots of pictures on the wall. Some of these guys probably some of them you don't want to remember that you know. But I know when I was growing up and Bobby was growing up, you guys were, out here shooting a lot of trap, a lot of blue rock in the air. Well, there's a lot of stories. I remember a little sand lot right over here on the north side of the gun club. You and I used to play in.
Addition on
I was talking to Phil Arnett, and Phil Arnett said that they added on this addition in 1972, and I think I got in trouble for playing in that stand lot one time. Yeah. So anyway, I brought everybody together to kind of maybe tell some of these stories, and I thought we'll just shoot. It'd be nice to start some of this right here at the Anthony Gun Club, where a lot of this kind of began. Now, how did you guys? Doug, my dad Doug, and your dad Doug, how did you guys meet, and how did that all start?
Well, Doug?
Well, I can tell you, I went to a dance at Anthony Hall one night. Doug had a band, and he was in there playing. And anyway, one thing led to another. I met him, we talked, and next thing I knew, he was going to join the National Guard. And I met him in Harper, and it kind of went from there. We
really officially... The dance was at the Municipal Hall in Anthony, and it was a bunch of guys that I brought back from Pittsburgh, Kansas. And we played a dance. We had a big team dance at the hall. It was a big dance, wasn't it?
It was a big one.
We had the old walls rocking.
Had the
And
guy laying on his back playing a guitar.
Bill, bass player, was laying on his back, and the organ player would get down on his knees and reach up and play that keyboard. And I was in the heights of glory. Young guy playing in a rock and roll band. But Doug Mountain and I actually officially met, became friends in the summer of 1967 when we
Yeah.
became close.
Yeah.
And we went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. We joined the National Guard, and we took a bus trip to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, to Waynesville, Missouri. And from Waynesville, they bused us to Fort Leonard Wood. And honest to God's truth, I thought I was kind of backwards in a way. I hadn't been away from Anthony a lot. I'd been in Pittsburgh, Kansas, but that isn't New York City. But I didn't realize how advanced I was to him until we pulled into the gates at Fort Leonard Wood, and there's this big, it's an Army base. It's a big deal. Mount was looking for Fort Apache and Ren 1010. He thought it would be wooden pillars.
Yeah, I did.
Remember
I
that?
did. And he pulled through, and I said, I'm ready to go back home. It wasn't what I thought. Yeah, I was looking for the old wooden gates and all the old soldiers walking around. Good Lord, 4-lane interstate going in and out of that sucker. Like,
Yeah, he was looking for Fort Apache.
this ain't what I want to do.
That's the truth. True.
But another part of that, remember that building we ended up in waiting for a bus?
Oh,
Another bus.
this is good. The bus station.
Yeah.
They took us into the little bus station. There's a bench that sits out on the front porch, right?
All right.
All right, we're sitting there. It's hot. It's in the summertime.
Waiting.
God dang, it's hot. Tell about it. We hear the drums.
But anyway, we heard something coming. Looked like a herd of cattle coming down this cattle trail.
Dirt,
Dust,
cloud of dust.
10 foot high. Here comes these old troopers out of there. They had the war paint on. God, they were sweating.
Vietnam War's on. Hot and heavy right now.
Broken legs and arms were in the back.
Sergeant's back there kicking them right in the
Oh, God, just drug them through there, and we're sitting there like,
God.
God, this must be the Special Forces Green Beret or something. God, I hope so.
We
Well,
thought
shit,
those are, Mount said those are some tough son of a guns right there.
Shit, 2 weeks later, we was on
We was
the
the
outside
same guys
looking in.
marching by. And there was two guys sitting up there on the
On the
bench.
bench, like, they were looking at us like, what in the hell am I getting into?
Boy, look at that.
Yeah. Tell them about when our not concentration camp, what they call it,
Talk to me, Doug.
when you first go in service.
Boot.
Not boot
No,
camp.
it's a 1 week orientation week.
Orientation.
Orientation.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, that
they set us down in this room. It was an old barracks, chairs like metal chairs, and here we was from Kansas. Never been around the world at all. We're sitting with guys. We'd never been around black people.
True,
We'd
I
never
seen
been
a
around
color.
New York people, city people. And they had this basket. And this corporal, he was a corporal. And hell, he might have been a general to us, but I remember he was quite convincing. He said, I'm going to pass this basket around. And he said, I want that thing filled with anything you shouldn't have on your body. And Mount looked at me and I looked at him.
Yeah, we was about third row
And I
back.
kind of forgot about it. There was a whole company of guys in there. All of a sudden, here comes this basket. And I thought, God dang, I picked it up and it was like, no, it was full of brass knuckles,
Guns, knives.
switchblades. I gave it to Mountain.
Yeah, we slept with these guys for
And
what,
we were
3 days?
sleeping beside these guys.
3 or 4 days before this all happened. We got a real look here, like, what are we doing?
That's so funny. Anyway, all right. So episode 1 is out of the way. Episode 2 brings in our second character, Johnny Berry. Johnny Berry. Usually, Johnny is in all of the fishing stories. He's more of the fisherman that. Not that Dad and Doug weren't the fishing kind of guys, but seems like if we were telling a fishing story, it was always Johnny Berry. He was always around. So, but he was our bass master and angler of the group. But anyway, a lot of the if you noticed in the videos or the first video, and you're going to notice through the rest of the evening on the table in the gun club there, the round table. is photo albums, and I have them with me tonight. What's really, really cool is, and I'm sure that folks do this now, but after every hunt, after every fishing trip, during the fishing trip, they documented everything they did. So, one thing that we do have is, stories to tell, but not only the stories, but we do have like photo evidence to go along with the stories. Some people always talked about how I caught a fish this big, and I don't know if they ever caught a fish this big, but if they did, it's going to be right here in the pictures. So I am thankful to have that, and they both, and I think Bobby probably has the same amount of pictures at his place. But anyway, it's nice to have these, and these kind of tell the story as well. So anyway, episode 2, Johnny Berry, Fishing Stories, episode 2. Watch it.
Well, I'm real curious. The kids are all wanting to know about the boat story.
Which one?
I've heard this since
Which one?
I've heard it, but I've never heard it facts
wanna
from
hear?
fact. That's the one.
Well,
The one at Canton? Or
There's
the
a lot
one
of
in-
things
the
led
one-
up to that. We'd had a lot of stories before that, but
The one in Missouri? Oh, man. We've had several now.
you want to hear the
Canton story.
the Kent story? Okay. 1985.
Been that long.
1985, the summer of 85, I was thinking about buying a bass boat from a guy by the name of Dale Myers here in Anthony. It was an 18-foot inboard
Wichita.
Washita.
Washita.
Washita
Oh, no,
with a
Washita.
4-cylinder Volvo engine.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the greatest thing. It was green, metallic, and white. I'd never had a bass boat in my life, and I was getting into the fishing pretty good. John and I had
Good
done.
boat.
I'd taken my dad's boat. When my dad passed away, I inherited a Glastron 16-foot tri-hull. And man, I was upgrading to this thing. So I talked to Dale Myers, and he said, "You go ahead and take it. You try it out." And I said, "No, Dale, I don't want to do that." And he said, "No, I mean it." He said, "You try it out. And if you like it, then we'll deal." And I said, "Okay." I got a hold of my old fishing buddy here. And I said, "Let's go down to Canton. I want to try this boat out." Well, we did. We pulled it down there, and I didn't even know it was behind the pickup. We got down there and we unloaded that boat, and we were having more fun. We was catching walleye, catching white bass.
Catching fish.
We were catching
Yeah.
fish, and we was trolling on the Longdale side, which is the east side of Canton Lake. And we was just going back and forth over some little humps out there. We had a depth finder. And we were anywhere from 12 to, 8 foot of water probably.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize this wind had come up, and we had going back and forth. And we had a live well full of fish. I just had a brand new bunch of fishing equipment, new rods and reels. Lo and behold, Johnny happened to say something to me. I turned around and I was headed north into the wind. And I noticed we were getting some whitecaps out there. An old boat was boom, boom. What'd you tell me?
Well, I looked, Doug was back at the back standing fishing, and I looked back and I looked down, and the back of the boat was about, I'm thinking 6 inches above the water, something like that. I said, "Hey, Doug, we're taking on water." And
I had sneakers on, tennis shoes, and I looked down, and my feet were clear underwater. But I didn't realize it was hot, and the water was warm, about the same
Yeah.
body temperature. I didn't even realize it.
lo and behold,
I
bilge
ga-
pumps weren't working.
I told Johnny, I said, "Well, I flipped that pump on." I said, "We're pumping." Well, we weren't pumping. And I said, "Well, let me throttle us. Let's get in the shore." And I hit that throttle, and the boat just sank.
When he hit that, they just pulled it right
And
on
down it went. And
Yeah.
I stood up and floated off. Not a pretty picture.
Looked like he was walking on water. He was gone.
John hung on to the boat and was rescued by another boat. And I got cussed out by a bunch of Indians for floating into the fishing line. I mean, they were mad. They were fishing for channel cat, and I floated in like a wet dog coming in
But you
shore.
gotta understand, Doug don't know how to swim, guys. Doug don't know how to swim.
I'll tell you what, that lake got some turbulence in it when I was.
That's not all that was left out there.
But they picked us up, and we got a ride, and we went to the Overlook, which is a burger place and gas and tackle place up there on Canton Dam. And we told them what happened, and I called home on a payphone. Johnny called, Betty,
Yeah.
and told him what had happened. And the guy running the place, he said, you'll never get that boat out of there. He said, there's lots of boats in the bottom of this lake, and you'll never get it out. Well, look, the next day, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it was out of there.
Jerked her right out.
We got it out. We had 2 guys from Anthony help with 3 guys.
Yeah.
We had it out, but everybody was okay.
Still, I can still see that boat was sitting in the water with the bow up front with the shoulder motor, and the shoulder motor sticking out of that thing, and nobody took that damn
Johnny
thing.
was.
That's
If
amazing.
it hadn't been for Johnny, I wouldn't have had any fishing tackle. He was up there holding fishing rods and holding tackle boxes and hanging on to a trolling motor.
Tackle box under each arm and full of rods.
I never seen anything like it.
Boat come by. I was in the water. The boat come by, and the guys helped me in the boat and took me inshore.
Bill, one more boat story real quick. I called up Doug and I said, or maybe when you call me, so I can get us in a fishing tournament. Big Hill Lake. No, Doug, so let's go to that tournament tonight, then we'll do all right. I said, let's go. So we get up there, and
This is Big Hill Lake in Cherryville, Kansas.
anyway, they had a drawing. No, Doug, he drew a number, and I think it was number 4. Everybody said, well, you lucky ducks. He said, that 4, that's a good number. Well, what do you mean it's good? Well, come morning when you take out of here, they're gonna put all these boats up in the cove.
You're the fourth
We
one
called
just
out the
leave.
number, we're the 4th one out of there. Well, that didn't mean nothing to us, but we thought, well, all right. So we get out there next morning. Trouble is, you can hear fish flopping around in some of
In
these
the
other
live
guys'
wells.
live wells.
They already had fish in live wells.
When it,
They
yeah,
wasn't
tournament-
cheating, was they?
No.
Wasn't no cheating
That's the
going on in that
truth, too.
tournament.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're sitting there and all of a sudden, her boat 1. Boy, all of a sudden, her old boat comes out of there shooting a rooster tail 50 foot in the
They'd
air.
say boat 1, and then they'd fire a pistol.
Then, boy, they said, boat 2. Boy, out of the cove, here comes another one. And pretty soon, boat 4.
Well, these are big bass boats, high performance boats, and I'm in my dad's 16-foot, 33-horse Evinrude.
Pretty soon they say, boat 4. No,
That's
Doug.
us. And I throttle that sucker, and here we go.
Pretty soon I heard, boat 4. Pretty soon, boat 4. Oh, Doug said, turn your head around like this, and now they're going to think we're going
As
as
it lean
fast.
forward and turn your
Yeah,
head
they
around.
think we're
Looks
going
like
like
we're
the
going
other
They're
guy.
going fast.
Well, about that time, here come boat 5. Right beside us, about tipped us over. And of course,
We're
Doug,
still in the hole from boat 3.
old Doug kept looking over at me and says, well, tell me what side of the boat they're coming on. I said, that's the guy on the right side. Pretty soon here comes the guy right up behind us. He's going on the left side. Pretty soon I looked at him and go, what in the hell are we doing out here to start with? So we peeled off and got out of there before we got run over. But,
Did you win?
no,
Oh, heck,
Well,
I
that's-
figured you'd win it.
that's kind of the end of that story. But I mean, it was a good story, but that's the best part of it.
Well,
Yeah, boat 4. Yeah, about killed us.
Doug probably, when we had the little experience on the river down there, or the creek.
Oh, John and I had
Yeah.
a time. Oh, my Lord. I forgot about that one.
Oh, yeah, I can't.
Tell this one.
Well, we packed up this one.
This
you
was
still
a
had-
Benny McCann deal.
You're right. We still had your old yellow pickup.
Yes, I forgot about this
We
one.
had sleeping bags, and I had a little old fold-out camper we had in the back, pulling behind that thing.
Benny McCann.
Yeah, so
Called up,
we
he
was
said,
headed down to go drift fishing. Down to Canoe.
Rex Dawson
Yeah,
Agency in Branson, Missouri, insurance agency.
yeah. But
Benny
man,
was friends with this guy, and he got rounded us for a trip.
had this good creek.
Fishing trip.
Good.
On
I
Bull-
guess it was a creek.
Bull Creek.
Yeah, Bull Creek.
Bull Creek in
So
Missouri, Branson.
We hadn't even got. Well, I guess we did get
bunch
to
of
Ark
bull.
City, and I was still smoking at the time.
I was still smoking. On the way over, Linda was following us in the Pontiac.
And I pitched my cigarette out
We were
the window.
smoking and throwing cigarettes out.
That's it. And lo and behold, it went right in my sleeping bag in the back.
Linda
And we-
kept flashing lights and everything. I said, Johnny, what's going on? I
The
don't know. She
sleeping
said,
bag would just, boy, you
we was
see,
going
I'm
down the
not
highway
smoking.
and the smoke was rolling out of the back of our pickup. Johnny's cigarette, Lucky Strike, went in the back right in the sleeping bag.
I got out and had a can of pop, and I shook my can of pop up and used it for a fire extinguisher. Put the bag out, and we went on down the road.
Well,
You talk about
that was just the beginning of this trip.
And we got to the campground, and you talk.
We stayed in the Silver Dollar City campground.
Right, and I never got out of that dang sleeping bag. The next morning, I was stuck to it, with all that pop in there.
Well, Okay, we meet up with this Rex Dawson. We go in there, he takes us out and shows us
Shows us the creek.
the creek and what we're gonna do. He's gonna take us out, we're gonna leave our pickup, he's gonna take us on with the canoe. It's a canoe trip. Then, we get in the canoe and we float to our pickup and pick up.
This
the
is 8 o'clock in the morning now, guys.
Get the canoe, load it up to pick up, and take it back to his place. Not a problem. Beautiful water. Go ahead, John.
We hadn't gone, I bet we hadn't gone 30 yards down that creek.
Johnny caught a smallmouth.
Caught smallmouth.
Smallmouth bass. Just boom, just like a
Kept
beautiful
going, kept
clear
going.
water.
And the farther we went down that stupid creek, the shallower it got. And pretty soon, we was having to carry the goddamn boat over the rocks and stuff.
We was carrying
Well,
that boat, dragging it across sandbars, rock bars.
And in the boat, of course, we had our cooler, we had all our drinks and our lunch and the whole 9 yards in it. Well, we get in some fast water, and but before we got down, he told us now, he said, you're gonna have to watch snakes because they're up in the trees.
And that did it for me. That is when I started green apple.
Right, the snakes they lay up in the trees, see, above the water.
I'll tell you what, if there's a snook up there,
Why, we going down the creek, we hit some fast water, and of course
Sound pretty solid.
I was seeing the snakes, but I wasn't saying a damn word, see, because
Johnny,
I knew what it was.
he told me, he said later, did you see all those snakes?
Because I knew I'd end up in the water, you know.
Well, you did anyway.
Yeah, so we went around the dead-gone fast water. Next thing I knew,
We
the
had
boat
gone-
was over on the top of us.
Well, we had a log laying across the creek, and it was the only fast water we had had in 10 miles. We had dragged that canoe to where it was so thin, it was paper thin on the bottom of that aluminum canoe. We finally got some swift water and we got in it. My God, we go, and all of a sudden we make a bend, and here's a tree laying across it, and there's not room to go under it. I lean over, John leans over, the canoe
And we
goes
go-
over,
we go
the
out
ice
of the boat.
chest goes over, the fishing tackle goes out. There we are. Look like
But
a
it's
bunch
a
of
good
river
thing it
rats.
wasn't deep because we picked everything up and got it back in the boat.
Yeah.
And it was dark. Let me tell you, it was dark.
We
by the
reached-
time we got to the pickup.
We reached the if it hadn't have been for a little bit of daylight, glow left in daylight, I would not have seen that yellow pickup. We would have
It
gone
was-
right on by.
That
It was
something
parked
like,
on the bank up here.
I think he said it was something like a, what, 10, 15-mile trip?
Yeah, and it took us all
8 hours.
day long.
8 hours, 8, 9 hours.
Well, it was in the summertime, so it
Yeah.
didn't get dark till
Oh,
10 o'clock.
right.
We went to that McDonald's at 11 o'clock at night at Branson.
Right. You're
Remember
right.
that?
Oh, yeah.
Old Branson.
Yeah. Not a good experience, but it was fun, I think. just another
was another
day
deal
on the
I saw.
water.
Oh, there's another thing I just thought about. What was it?
Oh, and a good trip up there. We had a real good trip. We was wading fishing crappie.
Where's
up at-
that at?
Huh?
Where at?
Up at Cheney.
Oh, Lord. This is
We
good.
was fishing the willows, not the willows, but the
This
cattail.
is, listen to this, Joanne.
We was fishing the cattails. And we had our chest
Beautiful
waders
day.
on and stuff, and we'd wade around the cattails and stuff, and we waded.
You
around
went
it.
left and I went right.
Right.
Remember?
We went around this once, and lo and behold, there was this fella in the water.
Well, let me tell the rest of that story, okay? And then you can come in. But I gotta tell you the truth. You went to the left, I went to the right. And I looked over there in the brush pile and I saw a life cushion. And I thought, then the closer I got to that thing, I'd cast and I looked at that thing, I thought, well, I'll pick that up. We can use that.
Yeah.
And I got over there and I looked down at that cushion. I was getting to snag it with my hook. And I looked down and I saw a guy's ears and the hair just floating in the water. It was his back, and he had a life jacket on, a life vest, and he was floating like this, dadder and hammer. And I hollered at Johnny. I said, "Get over here." And he came over. Of course, confirmed what I saw. Yeah, we got a dead man here.
So you did.
Yeah.
He's dead. But I'll tell you, you know,
We
this,
didn't have cell phone or
we
nothing.
no, hell, I still don't.
Uh-uh.
We went to Fred's bait shop and told them, and they called the sheriff department.
Uh-huh.
And they came out, and I'll tell you, this sounds morbid, and I don't mean to be, but I guess if I'm talking, this has to be one of the things that sticks in a guy's mind. Out of all the things I've done, that's one of the things that I can never get out of my mind. I know how people have problems with war and battle and horror things, but when they drugged that man, they went out. The
Grabbed him
county,
by the belt.
they grabbed him by the belt and the nape of the neck and drug him
Up on the bank.
floated him. He was floating
Yeah.
out. He was in this position, down, and he was
Already
stiff.
rigid.
His
He was
body
rigid.
was stiff.
Rigor mortis had set in. Yeah.
And I'll never forget when they were dragging him up to the shallower waters. He was just bumping.
Yeah.
And
He'd
they
been in
got
the
him
water.
up, and he was just standing up
Yeah.
like a dog would stand.
Yeah. Been in
I'll
the
never,
water.
I can't get that
Been in
out
the
of my
water
mind.
all night long. Yeah.
And he was an 80-year-old man.
83.
83.
Yeah.
And he died of natural causes.
That's
He had a
right, he had a-
stringer of white bass hooked to him. He'd been
had-
out there fishing.
I still can see them white bass hooked on the stringer.
He had a heart
Yeah.
attack out there fishing. He was doing what he wanted to do.
Hadn't even,
Bless his heart.
wife hadn't even turned him in as
But
missing.
boy, it left an imprint in my mind. You
Yeah.
know, you don't see that every day.
But them things happen.
Yeah.
That's where you go.
But that's what.
Oh, live TV. Spilling all over myself. Oh, by the way, not that I have a sponsor or anything, and not that Dot's Pretzels would be a sponsor, but, you know, if they ever did this, this would be really cool. But I don't know if you guys have had them. Dot's Pretzels. So good. You can't just have one. You got to have like 42 million. They're so good. This is terrible TV. I apologize. So anyway, episode 2, fishing. It's kind of somber at the end and kind of sad, but it happened. It's real. So, okay, episode 3. Let's get into episode 3. They kind of led into this earlier in the episode 1, but a lot of the stories that they have are old Army stories, Kansas National Guard type stuff. My dad and Doug were kind of in the charge of the maintenance unit. They take care of the old trucks, change oil, change tires, things like that. But it also gave them special privileges when all the other company was out doing drills or what have you, you know, out in the area. Dad and Doug would stay back in the yard and do work. And a lot of times they'd have the freedom to go, you know, maybe shoot a duck or go fishing, which, you know, if they got caught, they were, you know, in lots of trouble. But it's part of the stories. But anyway, episode 3 kind of touches on some of their Army stories. So anyway, episode 3, have a listen.
See, we went up to these summer camps. Took 3 days to get from here to where we were going in Army truck. First day, they pit a last around. Second day, they speeded up about 10 miles an hour. And the third day, Katie barred the door. They're going as hard and as fast as they can drive to get there. Well, they wasn't going to stop for nothing. Well, they had trucks, 2 drivers, and usually 6 guys in the back. And boy, if you had to go to the bathroom, you was in dire straits.
We was
So
right
what
in the
these
middle
old
of
boys,
Kansas City, Missouri when this happened.
what happened, a lot of these old boys, they'd climb out of that truck on the run now, 55, 60 mile an hour, get up on the driver's door or the rider's door, hang on the door, stand on the foot pegs,
Isn't this awful?
drop their pants,
This is the truth.
hang off the side of the truck like that.
They'd take a crap going down the highway.
Yeah, 60 miles an hour. And we just fall in this
This is our
truck.
Kansas National Guard.
Remember that man by the little old lady? That time she was getting her mail. All them boom, pair of cheeks went flying by her. I know she probably got crap. But Doug had to go. I said, "You going outside like that?" And Doug said, "Hell no." And I ain't doing that. What happened? We stopped over there. Excuse me. He had a paper.
Need any help?
I don't know. He had a paper grocery sack. He's sitting where I'm driving, and he's folding that sack down real
This
nice.
is in Kansas City, Missouri.
Had about a 4-inch cuff all the way
We're
around.
on I-70.
And these Army trucks got a back window so big in them.
I crawled through the back window.
Yep, he's gonna go in the back of that truck and do his thing.
He's got this
Okay.
story right.
So we're driving along. Well, I'm driving along. I look up ahead, and all these Army trucks are up there kind of doing the old jump around. What in the heck? And it's going up a hill of the railroad track. And boy, I tell you what, I didn't say nothing to Doug. I didn't know what I was getting into. And all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom.
I fell right in the
I
shit.
heard, good Lord. I said, what happened? I fell in the sack.
I did. I stood up and had a sack stuck to me.
planted that right
God
in his
dang,
back.
I'll tell you what, you never lived unless you had that happen.
Oh. Well, now we're getting serious now. I'm picking on old Dougie here. I remember,
Yeah, that's true.
this is Army story
It
now.
really happened.
We're in the Army. So we used to make big old box and take along, put all our stuff in them so it's easy to get out. Bad mistake. We'd take that
Yeah,
summer
we
camp.
made a box, a foot locker. One big box for both of us.
Bad mistake, because we get up there, them guys made a poker table out of it.
Poker table.
And we couldn't get in it to get our stuff out. Well, one night we were tired, but our sleep bags were out for some reason. So, yeah, let's get these old sleep bags. We're going to bed. I'm tired. So Doug gets his bag. I get my bag. Big Army, well, it wasn't a big tent. And it had, had regular old bulbs in
It's a
there.
maintenance tent.
And light showed out so far. And
This was when I was sleeping.
So Doug, he gets up. He goes over by that tree. There was a big
Nice
old tree.
tree, nice tree.
So he parked.
Blocked the light. See, it blocked the light.
Yeah, he got in behind that tree and he laid down. Then I went down about another 30, 40 feet and I found me a water and I got in it. And we were sitting there like, man, this is pretty neat. Let's go to bed. Well, we went to bed.
Good
Man,
night's sleep.
Well,
Good
I
night's
woke up
sleep.
the next morning, man, I was good, comfortable, but
I came out of
had a
sleep.
great sleep last night. I horror Doug. I said, how'd you do? He said, well, damn, when did it rain? I said, rain? It didn't rain last night.
I
Old
said,
Doug,
hell, it did too.
his whole sleep bag was full. What happened? Them old drunks were coming out of that army
There's
tent
10.
to take,
Right on
take
me.
a whiz.
All night long, the
Pissed on
bear.
him. His sleep bag had a pool of water that big around in the middle.
They
between
were
his
peeing
legs.
right on me, didn't even know it.
Yeah, they did
You
do
were
it.
sleeping.
Oh,
That
that was a good one.
bag stunk so bad.
He was sleeping. He was-
Oh, that was a rough one.
Remember the dog trap?
That's
I thought it was a
another one
dog
I'm
trap.
gonna go.
That's another story.
That old Doug, he says, I don't need alarm clocks. He said, should I get up?
We was in Ames, Iowa when the dog trap
Yeah,
happened.
but it happened in Nancy, Kansas started. I go to the garden unit that
Oh,
morning.
it did, yeah.
I go to the garden unit that morning and said, where's your buddy at? And I said, well, hell, ain't he here? And he said, no.
I slept in, didn't
Yeah,
I?
he said, get your truck and go get his ass. I've been
I
up
lived
flying
up
in
North
Nancy.
Lincoln.
I drive up there, old house was just black. I go beat on the door, old Doug, I can hear him here. Oh, God, I overslept. And boy, he was hollering at Linda, get this, get that, pack this, pack that. Old Doug come over, he said, Doug, go out in the garage. He said, my sleeping bag's laying on the floor. And he said, roll it up and put it in the box. I said, okay, well, he didn't have a light in the garage, couldn't hardly see. I find the sleeping bag, I roll it up, throw it in the bag or in the box. Well, but he gets all the stuff, throws it in the box. We take the box out and throw it in the back of
I
my
had
truck.
a 50 Chevy pickup.
And we take off the garden unit. Got there and the trucks were just pulling out. And we heaved that old box up in the back of one of them trucks,
Off we went.
parked the truck, and off we go. And what town was it?
Ames, Iowa.
Okay, they made a big speech at it.
It was
Nobody
at
sleeps.
Fairgrounds in Ames, Iowa.
Nobody sleeps on army equipment. They didn't want you up on top of the trucks because you get up on them bows, on them tarps, boy, that's good sleeping. So what happens? Them old tarps were getting old, and guys were getting rips and falling through and landing on the floor in the middle of the night. So they said we can't have that. So no sleeping on trucks.
No, you
No,
don't do
Doug
that.
said, yeah, bullshit. He said, he said, I ain't sleeping on the ground. And he had a 5-ton wrecker, big old wrecker
Yep.
truck. We climbed up on the back of that and then he had a big old platform. And old Doug said, hell, I think I'm just gonna roll my bag out right there on this platform and go to bed. So I said, well, okay, I'll roll mine out over here. You know, hard as rock, but boy, we were so tired, it felt good. We're laying there. Boy, I got my sleeping bag first. I'm sitting there, we're about to fall asleep. And old Doug, God damn. I said, what's the matter? And he says, man, I'm sitting in a pile of dog shit that just slid clear down inside the bag. He said, the dang dog crap in that bag. And I rolled it up and I said, good Lord. And couldn't find out any person. He says, oh no, we're okay. He said, it's not dog crap, but what happened? He got on that turret
was
and a big old
grease.
wad of grease.
It was army grease.
He got on seat, he slid down in that grease.
Slid right into
Oh,
that
yeah,
bag.
right in there.
I slid right into it. Tell them about the ticks. Remember the ticks?
The what?
The ticks. When I got all those
Oh, the
ticks.
other ticks.
The ticks.
I thought you said
This
ticks.
is good. This was in Arkansas.
Jesus Christ.
This is Fort Chaffee. This is where Elvis Presley took basic training.
Anyway, we're in there. And everybody says, oh God, he says, the ticks are lousy up here. He said, the way to take care of them is get dog collars, flea collars, and put them around your ankles. They won't crawl up your pants. So I got reloaded up on flea collars.
I didn't do that.
Well, yeah, you did. What happened? You ripped your pants out.
That's right.
Well, that
I did
night-
that another time,
Yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah, that's
another
going to be
story.
a premium story here in a minute. Anyway, old Doug, he's going along there that afternoon. Boy, son of a bitch. Well, he got back there that night, and he was infected. I mean,
You,
he had
man,
I had ticks all
he
over
had
me.
more ticks than you could put on a man. And they all come through the pants instead of up the legs.
it happens, doesn't it?
Oh, my.
Yeah.
But the best story on the pants deal for Dougie. One time Arnett wanted to go quail hunting,
Phil Arnett,
and you know him, he's a limit guy.
limit guy.
He'll walk you to death to get a limit for quail. So we get to this place and we get out, and it's a good place, we've hunted it before. And
It's the old Pierce place out west.
anyway, old Doug says, I bought me a new pair of boots yesterday. Boy, he had his new boots on. Boy, he was proud of them. I said, good. Well, when he stepped out of the truck, old Arnett was so far over by the ditch that when he stepped out, that first step was about 6 foot long. he ripped his pants out going down.
I ripped the
He
whole
ripped
crotch
it,
about
I
that.
mean, from zipper to belt loops. He was ripped out. Oh, he hit,
Hadn't even started.
hadn't even got to the fence yet. Then he's sitting here in the ditch, he gets up. God, then he shook it off, you know, and had a game bag. He said, I'm gonna wear the back
That was
there.
my Grandpa Hyde's game
He's
back.
all carry these quail. So we take off, of course, Arnett. Boo, 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 boo. Yeah, we're getting quail. God dang, old bag was
Oh,
building up.
Arnett keeps throwing his quail, and I'm putting them in my
Yeah.
game bag.
Well, we're walking along there. Shit, we got out there probably half mile. Hell, I looked down on the ground and shit, there's a dead quail. Hell, picked the quail. Hell, it was warm, fresh. I knew it had to be something we shot. Okay.
Oh, Arnett said best time to make a count.
Yep. Oh. Yeah, Phil said we
Well,
better.
we should have had 20 quail.
He said, I think we got 18 or 20 quail.
I think I had 3 in my game bag.
Dropped every one of them out.
I had a hole in it.
But all of it now, that's not even the good part. That's not even the good part.
Oh, yeah, there's another part.
He's a walking, he said, oh, his boots are killing me. He said, God damn, I got blisters growing on my feet. Boy, he's oohing and on all the time. Pretty soon he looked over and he says, God damn it. Now we was walking the sawgrass this high. He looked over at me and he says, God dang it, Doug. He says, I know why bird dogs don't have any hair on their nuts. He took them boots off. He had blisters that big around that already busted, bleeding, and that's when we discovered the quail. So Arnett, he picks up the pace about 50 miles an hour. And we're walking. Doug's suffering. And I kept looking back, and boy, that pickup was getting smaller and smaller. And we went probably a mile, or maybe a mile and a half. Turned around and came back. And boy, I
Found all the
kept,
birds?
We finally got our limit, I think.
yeah, we did.
Yeah, we shot 2 limits to get 1.
But old Doug got back to the truck, man. You talk about a guy in release.
Oh,
boy.
that was awful.
Was you,
It was awful. I was hurting from stem to stern.
Old bird dog. Yeah, that was good.
Episode 3. Okay, so at the end of that episode, there was more hunting talk, and that kind of leads us into our next episode, actually, because they touched on some hunting stories with Phil Arnett, which, like I said, I think earlier, Phil just passed away last month, and kind of sad. It's very sad. Because he was kind of the last one in this group here that was hanging out with us. But Phil was kind of when he went away, a lot of history went with him as well. He was kind of a historian for our little community in Anthony. He knew a lot about everything. He knew a lot about the old buildings, a lot about the businesses, the old businesses that are no longer there. We touched maybe just a fraction on that on this next episode, episode 4. But it talks about Phil Arnett and Fred Jones. Fred Jones is another character. He's not on these videos, but actually Fred was owned a body shop in Anthony, and my dad used to work for him when he was a kid, and that's how he started working in the body shop industry. And Fred and Phil Arnett drove to Mountain Home, Arkansas, on the White River, I think. And my dad and Doug Mount went the same weekend to go fishing, the exact same place They had no idea that they were going to be there. Anyway, I shouldn't probably tell this. I'm going to let them tell the story. So, anyway, episode 4.
Well, Doug and I went out one morning and shot some ducks, and several ducks. I suppose we had 10 or 15. We brought them back to town, and we went by Hurley Martin's house. He was an old black man here in town and sold watermelons and worked down at the KT oil station for 100 years. Good old man, okay? Well, he liked ducks, geese, anything like that, and we liked it because we could get rid of them and had that satisfaction they didn't go to waste, okay? We got back to the shop. We was going through the stuff for guns and this and that, and there was another duck we'd forgot. So I told Doug, I said, I'll take that back when I go home to Hurley. And I went up and knocked on the door and come in, and they had one of those, what I call old Saturday night wash tubs sitting in the center of the floor with newspaper around it, all right? But you couldn't see them. The feathers, you couldn't see Hurley and his wife. And about a third of the feathers were going in the tub, and the rest of them was all over the room. Yeah.
This is a good one.
Down on the trout stream.
This is a good one. Mountain Home, Arkansas.
Down on the trout stream. We was early morning.
You know, the Lord blessed up to do all these things.
Early morning one morning, and you see these pictures where the fog is out on the river, and that's just the way this was. Beautiful morning, and we was out there fishing. Just
Now, you got to give the details. You got to give the details. Why is that river foggy?
oh, it's cold.
It's bottom water coming out of the
coming out of the
North
bottom.
Fork Lake.
Yeah, and they said
that-
the lake has got
It's
300
hot
foot.
and humid down there
Yeah.
in the summer. And that bottom water's ice cold.
They said the water stays 56 or 58 degrees a year
It
round.
comes out of there and it creates a fog in the morning from the humidity. Well, these guys, we were in an 18-foot John boat, and this was Doug Mount, Johnny, and me. And we're out there and it's quiet. It's so
Oh,
quiet you can hear a pin
oh.
drop. And everybody's bait fishing with cheese or worms or salmon eggs or whatever. And you can hear a cast.
Then splat when it hit the
Plump.
water.
You'll hear the little sinkers hit the water. And we're sitting there, we tight line and go ahead. You had to fill that in.
But anyway, you could hear, when a boat hit the rocks.
Yeah,
bang,
you could hear every
bang,
little-
bang, bang, you know.
Well, we was coming up through the river, real colorful. The mist was just coming up off of the white, you know, and had her motor chugging along there. Yeah, but you could hear, it was dead still. You could hear anything for a mile.
All you could hear is that, God damn it, I told you to watch out for that rock.
It sounded, Doug, explain this. Explain it. He's good at it.
It sounded like the Queen Mary coming up Bluff Creek out here.
And
Boy, it's banging, crashing, cussing. Well, good Lord,
you
what
could hear
do
him
you
hitting
know?
them
He
down.
said, you SOB, I told you to turn left. No, you didn't. You said turn right. Well, there goes the oar. Well, God,
Lo and behold.
and
You could hear 'em a
there
quarter
was people
mile.
reeling their reels in. And Mount said, hell, they're moving their boat.
Well, hell yeah, it looked like the Queen Mary ought to be coming through there any second.
Who was it?
Yes, who was it?
Who
Two
was it?
guys from Anthony, Lo and behold. Fred Jones and Phil Arnett. How you go drive 500 miles and you can't get away from it.
But anyway, they accused us of yelling. We really wasn't. But we were talking probably a little, on account of the motor, you had to, you know, talk a little more pronounced to get back to the other guy with it. But they gave us a bad time over that. But you had to watch out for the rocks and the different things in the river.
I tell you, why you couldn't believe, you had to be there.
And they were staying-
Beautiful water, guys, beautiful water.
Remember that?
They
Big
were
fish.
staying at the Y cabins, same place we were. We didn't even know they was there. And that's, hey, listen to this one. This is good. We're fixing breakfast one morning. We went, this is where we saw the little old lady smoking the pipe,
Yeah.
corncob pipe.
Yeah.
We went to a grocery store up on a hill at North Fork, Missouri. And we went in this grocery store and she had slab bacon and she'd slice it. And we said we wanted thick bacon. Remember that?
Yep.
She sliced that bacon that thick. We bought a dozen eggs. We bought a loaf of bread. Then we fixed We have had hash browns.
Yeah, yeah.
We had a big
Had
breakfast.
good breakfast. Coffee.
Mount was over there at the toaster that morning.
So I'll be the toaster.
That
Man.
toaster was clicking them up in the air, and he was catching them on
It
the
was,
platter.
if you guys, maybe you'd never have seen it, it was one of the old toasters that opened up and you laid your toast in it and then put it up, and then after you toasted a while, you had to open it up and turn the toast over so it'd toast the other side and then
But
put
he
it back
had
up.
another toaster
There was
because he
another
was
toaster,
catching them.
remember?
Remember that?
Somebody taking it apart and tightening up the springs in it. Now,
That's what it was.
I put that first piece of pear toast in there, and I'm sitting there waiting. Flipper, bling!
Yeah, he'd take a platter and catch it.
They went clear to the ceiling. And
But
then
anyway,
smoke coming up behind them.
we had thick slab bacon in one skillet. We had eggs, we had hash browns. I think we might have had biscuits and gravy that morning. We had a big breakfast. We were having a ball. We always had a big breakfast. And all of a sudden, here comes this guy walking by the cabin. And I walked out, I think, to get a pack of cigarettes out of my car. And I said, "Hi, how you doing?" He said, "All right." He said, "Man, it smells good in there." I said, "Well, we're fixing breakfast." It smells good. I said, "You want some?" "Sure." He came some toasted straight. He had a good time. We ate breakfast. He went on.
Another one of them good stories.
But anyway,
Well, that story ain't over yet, if you
I
remember
know.
right.
Go ahead.
Remember Ralph, he said, when we first went down the first time, he said, if you guys hear a horn honk, that's the dam.
This is a good one.
And what they're doing when you hear that horn honk, he said they're letting water out. So be ready. 'Cause if
Did you
get
tell
down-
this story correctly? You say, "Who told you?"
Who told you?
When you, go ahead.
I get it wrong.
I said, "There's that horn," and you said, "No."
Yeah, it wasn't a horn.
You said it was that Ford pickup over there.
Pretty soon, the deal is you don't want to get
So
down the
Johnny,
river.
so
They let the
Johnny.
water out, you can't get back
What's
up
that?
the river.
You told me,
Yeah.
didn't you? I said, "That's that horn." You guys said no.
Either way. Pretty soon, we're sitting there and I noticed we had the anchor down, the boat starts kind of wiggling. Everybody kind of looked around. Old Doug looks over and he says, "That water ain't coming up on them goddamn boat docks any." Well, come to find they're floating boat docks.
They're all made big chunks of stars.
They come up with the water automatically. No Doug, he's sitting there zeroed in on him. Said, "Hell, they coming up. Hell, we're going up with it. Next thing our anchors are just dangling under the boat."
We're cruising down the river.
Said, "Yep, that was the horn."
That's good.
Remember that
But
same
that's-
one? That's when old Fred and Ralph,
Red and Phil.
Phil was in that boat.
Yeah.
And they threw their anchors out on the same side.
About,
They boat went.
about capsized.
Boat went just anchors go that way and the boat goes like. Old Fred, he's laying back here on the boat like this. Pull the anchors up, pull them up. Everybody's trying to get them anchors
Oh,
back
Freddie.
back in the boat.
Of all people to find out it would be Fred Jones and Phil Arnett.
That's
Didn't even know they were
unreal.
coming.
Unreal.
One of the
Yeah.
funny parts too in that whole story was at the cabin. How they're all, old 19, 20, 30 cabins made just for fishing, And old Fred, he was always worrying about getting trapped and burning up and all kinds of stuff. And he looked there in the bathrooms, well, there was a hallway leading to the crapper. And it was just as wide as the toilet was, just about. In order to get in there right, you almost had to drop your drawers and do the back walk in there to get on the stool. And I remember old Fred, I said, "I ain't going in there." He said, "That's how you get burned up," or something like that. But he was all mad because he had to back up in there backwards.
I can. Here's the thing: when I hear these stories, I can picture this in my mind. I can picture what's happening and what's going on, and the way they tell them, like Doug Mount telling that story about when Fred and Phil were drifting down there, and they had their anchors on one side of the boat, and the current's dragging them along. They got their anchors on one side, and it's dragging. And old Doug, the way he put his hands up, he's like, "Pull the anchors in." I can just see it. I can just see it in my mind. Anyway, it makes it so much more enjoyable. But anyway, so when we shot these, I created 4 episodes. Those were the first 4 episodes you guys just saw there. So I had 2 original bonus episodes that were the first footage of the footage that I found that I thought was lost. Come to find out, it wasn't lost. But anyway, these two mini bonus episodes, if you will, are what you're going to see next. These have already been posted on YouTube. Most of you have already seen them, but this was the very first bonus episode that I ever posted about a couple of years ago. I think I called this one Cinnamon Rolls and No Hunting, I think is what it is called. But anyway, all this bonus footage is just kind of just put together and to make 2 episodes. It really has no rhyme or reason. It's just extra stuff. But anyway, Cinnamon Rolls, No Hunting, and go.
Yeah, one day, big goose hunting.
Yeah, dairy boots on.
Yeah, I had my milk boots on. I had my BT-99, which I never hunted with it in my life. One shot now. Single shotgun. You break it open, let it down. Yeah, we're going down the road. We stopped at donut shop, got donuts. That was kind of unfair.
Donuts and a thermos bottle of coffee.
That's right. So we're heading west out of Anthony, looking for geese. Talking, yakking, wasn't paying no attention.
Then they're about the 14-mile corner.
All of a sudden we look up, there's geese, and they're low. And they're like they're wanting to cross the road. Old Doug says, start getting ready. I said, well, I don't think they're going to cross the road, and kept watching. All of a sudden, they go across the road, they took off. Old Doug, he's trying to stop. I got my foot out the door trying to stop the truck too, dragging that boot.
That old boot was smoking.
I had that gun, I just pulled it out. It was in a case, one of the plastic case.
I said, get your gun ready, get ready.
I slid the gun out of the case. And boy,
Moving
and then
around.
then he got over so far in the ditch when my leg did hit the ground. Eventually, well, I was 6 foot up in the air. I go sliding off the side of the truck down in the ditch, and I can hear old Doug, shoot, shoot. Well, I reached in my gun vest.
Instead of having it ready,
I wasn't ready.
he wasn't ready. All this time.
I reached
He
in
had
that vest.
donuts rolling around him and the thermos bottle broke.
Anyway, I chucked what I thought it had a bullet in the gun. Got up, well, I'm going to
Click.
just get one of them. Click. Well, what in the heck? Damn,
like a package of
stick,
gum in it.
chewing gum.
Look at
And
the
that
chapstick.
chopped the back core of it off and I slammed the barrel shut.
I said, what in the hell are you going to do if that thing goes off? He said, stick their wings together.
But, got to back that story up. That boot got so damn hot it was smoking. And boy, it got my foot and I was trying to kick that boot off.
The boot was hot, see?
Oh, I held around a half inch off the heel. And boy, I took that
Going down the highway smoking that boot.
trying to stop the truck. Like you said, I go down through the ditch, crashed down there, and looked up. Donuts were rolling out the door. I mean, boy, I was hungry. Well, I wanted donuts. So we picked them up. You know, 4-second deal didn't bother me.
Remember
none.
when we was eating those cinnamon rolls?
Little road
after
rash
shooting those
didn't hurt
pheasants? Was down there on the Walden Road south, and we shot rooster pheasants. Minute, we finished up on our lemon roosters.
Okay.
And I had those big rolls, cinnamon rolls from Nelson's.
Okay.
And I said, man, it's time to eat those cinnamon rolls. All right. I backed the old pickup up there, and we sit on the end gate, and we're eating those cinnamon rolls and drinking coffee and hot chocolate. God dang, old Mount says, looky there. Look, we was on McCrae's ground. There's a big sign right overhead. Said, absolutely no hunting or fishing without permission. Violators will be prosecuted. And there we're sitting there with all those dead pheasants sitting there eating rolls.
Yeah, it looked bad.
Dot's pretzels. They're good, and they're good for you. That's what my dad always used to say. Every time I was eating pretzels or potato chips or something good, he would say they're good and they're good for you. He had tons of sayings. If you know my dad, tons of sayings. But anyway, that was the first mini bonus episode. That was cinnamon rolls, no hunting. Pretty funny stuff. The next one, episode or bonus episode, mini bonus episode number 2. This is one that I called gas mask, and this one stems from another National Guard episode. This one is pretty funny. This is one of my probably top 5 National Guard stories. But anyway, it has to do with when they were on a training mission or something like this up in Minnesota or wherever they were. Something about a crack and a gas mask. But I think you're going to like it. I hope you like it. I know I did. Give it a listen.
Well, this is another war story. Told old Doug and I to get out there on the front lines and protect the goddamn
Oh,
company.
this is when I ran running through the bushes.
So we had machine guns. They went up there and we found a foxhole that somebody already dug, so we didn't have to dig it.
Just a week of bivouac, war games.
So we jumped in the foxhole
This is in Minnesota.
on the side of a hill. And down at the bottom of the hill was a road. And we was up here on the side of this hill probably a couple hundred feet or so, maybe more.
Yeah.
We was up there pretty good ways from the road.
We were on what they called the front perimeter.
We were sitting there in that foxhole, and that sun come up, put me to sleep. Man, I mean, that sun felt
And
good.
I'm wide awake.
First thing, old Doug, I said, what's the matter? He said, I hear something. Go over to listen. The guy can turn out. This here, I might be telling wrong with this, is where the Green Beret was playing with us, the Special Forces. Some of them guys just got back from Nam, they're just putting
Yeah,
in
they're
time.
having fun.
Yeah, they're playing games now. Me and old Doug were up there, listening. Looking down the side of that hill, couldn't see nothing. All of a sudden, through the top of the tree, like
Smoke bomb.
it sounded like a rock coming through the top of that tree. We're looking up. Then it lands about 15 foot out there in front of us and blows up. And old Doug said, "Sorry, smoke. Well, it was white smoke. Couldn't see nothing. So where did the hell did that come from? We couldn't see nothing before that happened.
Couldn't see nothing after
All of a
that.
sudden, kind of back this story up a little bit about gas
We
masks
had
in the
yellow
Army.
smoke. Remember the first one was yellow.
Okay. Then the Army, they issue these gas masks. Well, you put them on, you clear them, and if all the lenses and everything's great, you're in good shape. But boy, even if one of them lenses got a crack in it, you're shit out of luck.
You're in dire straits.
Anyway, we're in that foxhole, and all of a sudden, here comes another. Lands out in front of us.
There's white smoke.
Tear gas. Doug, we were grabbing our masks. I put mine on. I clear it. I'm okay. I look over at old Doug, and he had this sad hound dog face. Damn lens was cracked right down the goddamn middle.
That's where I
All of
lost
a
my Gary
sudden-
Cooper. Right there.
All of a
John
sudden,
Wayne left me.
Old Doug come out of that foxhole faster than I've ever seen him move.
I went
He was heading back.
through the woods.
And we're
Rifle.
talking wood,
There, the
Under-
steel pot
underbrush.
dumped off.
underbrush. It was
I
this
ripped my
high.
fatigues.
Underbrush
I
was
ran
this
into
high.
trees.
Broke limbs off. He's crashing back through the forest. I'm over there
And
dying.
I had to make a casualty report because everybody in my platoon was killed or captured but me. And I had to explain why.
'Cause
And I got tree bark and moss all over.
They caught-
I did the frame thing.
What happened to you?
I remember, I turned around. I was laughing. I shouldn't
You
have
had a muzzle sticking in your right
been.
You
I'm
done
looking
been
down-
captured.
I'm looking down the barrel of a rifle. I'm thinking, oh shit! All of a sudden, it kind of slid down my mask and kind of, ding, flipped her off. Of course, the gas light had gone away by this time, and I still got enough. Oh, they handcuffed me and put mask over my face, and drug me down the hill, threw me in the back of a truck. Seemed like we drove forever, but I think we were just going around in circles. Anyway, they take me to a place and tied me up in a tree. I'm hanging up here in this tree. Look. What another fine mess. Height got me into him. I'm still thinking, what happened to Height? I figured he ought to be hanging in the tree too. Hell, he'd run away. They never caught him. And
All they could see was just a trail.
they let me hang in that tree damn near 4 or 5 hours probably. Brought me back, excuse me, to our company area and just kind of pitched me out of the truck. Oh, I looked over old Doug, man. He had scratches and burrs all over him. He said, I got away from him.
I fought more war than he did.
Yeah, I was a POW and old Doug won the battle.
See what I mean? I mean, all those stories are so vivid. The way that they tell them, they're so good. They're so good. Oh, I'm just trying to see if I can find something here to spur a story of my own. One of them is, I forgot about this picture. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's a picture of my dad and Doug Mount after a hunting episode. I think they were out off the Waldron Road on the Hoth pasture, west of Anthony. Anthony, Kansas, and there's like 3 or 4 ponds out there. Well, what they would do this thing called pond hopping. A lot of times they would decoy ducks, geese, but in the evening before they'd go home, they'd do a little trick called pond hopping. But they could, they could look and see what was on, if there was any ducks on these ponds before they would go home from a distance. And they could skim the tops of these ponds with binoculars and whatever. But a lot of times what you had to do is you had to drive across the ponds, the dam of the ponds. And on the low side of the ponds is the dam, what holds the water in. But it was just big enough for a truck to go over, or a car or a vehicle or whatever. But usually it had like a path for your wheels to go. Sometimes it didn't. But they were just big enough to go across. And one time they were looking at some ducks or some geese and not paying attention to where they were driving, and they drove off of the dam, off the side of the dam. But not totally. They were about to tip my dad's old F-150, yellow F-150 Ford truck. I think Doug Mount was driving, actually. But it was so bad that it was like a 45-degree angle. It's getting ready to tip off the side of the dam, and the only way to keep it from tipping was to open the passenger side door and somebody hang off the side of the passenger side door. And they did everything they could do. They were hanging tire tools and whatever they could think of, ropes, anything to keep the truck from... Anyway, what they had to do, they had to walk all the way back to the Walden Road, walk down the Walden Road, find a farmer with a tractor, get them pulled back up onto the... Anyway, they didn't get home till super, super late. We thought they were dead. This is before cell phones, folks, and no one knew where they were. We thought that something bad had happened. Anyway, they finally came home, and they were a mess, but we took pictures. This is kind of like the early evening, because there's a second set of pictures which shows them with all the tools and props that they used to get the truck off the dam. And I think there's like a blanket involved to get traction. There's tire tools, there's ropes, there's all kinds of stuff. But anyway, I'll have those as well forever. So, all right, now for the time you guys have all been waiting for. This bonus footage is, the way this all happened was we put this all together, and in 2011, and I didn't post any of this stuff till probably 2014. So there was 3 years that went by before I even put any of this together. Well, when I actually finally did, I lost some of the footage. I didn't know where it went. And I was so mad at myself because Doug had passed away and I didn't know what to do. So I went ahead and put the stuff together of what I did have. And then just recently, I was looking through some old DVDs, and I happened to find a DVD that said Gun Club Videos Test. I was like, well, that's weird. I don't remember this one. So I put it in the DVD player and played it. And lo and behold, it was all the footage from that night that we had recorded. What I must have done when I got back to Missouri is I must have exported all that footage and put it on a DVD just to see what it would look like played through a TV. And I'd forgotten about it. And now the bad thing is it's not in HD, but it's still good quality. But the audio's there. Sometimes there's some little glitches on the audio, and that's probably why I didn't put it in the first few episodes. But it's footage that you guys have not seen before, and I had forgot about some of it. And some of these stories I had never heard before, and I think you guys will enjoy them. Some of them are kind of racy, which is kind of odd. But anyway, now for the time, or for the moment you guys have all been waiting for, never seen before footage, Gun Club stories, bonus extra footage. Here we go.
Lake, pretty stream.
Oh, God. The mountain home trips.
Yep.
Where else did we go?
Oh, we went down. Doug wasn't with us on this. It was old Ralph and Doug and I.
Ralph and Doug and I.
We went to Reelfoot Lake, Kentucky.
Oh, God.
I saw this ad in one of my magazines. Sports
Tennessee.
Appeal.
Tennessee.
Oh, sure. You're right. Saw this ad in one of my magazines.
Yeah, it was your fault.
Yes,
that whole thing was your fault.
I instigated it, yeah. I said, boy, this looks like a good trip. Got a good price on it and the whole 9 yards. Boy, we're going. We loaded up and got down there, and the lake was a good-looking lake.
Yeah.
Until
it was.
Then we got
Until I
out.
saw a cottonmouth.
Yeah. It was another one of them full of snakes and what kind of trees? Not
Cypress trees.
Cypress trees all over the place.
What do you think
And
those cottonmouths lay in?
and out in the lake, you had to watch it because where the old dead cypress trees were only about this far out of the water, 6, 8 inches.
Remember when we looked down and there was
Oh,
a cottonmouth right under
yeah.
us? Oh!
And then they tell us the story of how the lake was made and all of this stuff. Earthquake.
Yeah, some Indian had an earthquake or
Yeah.
something. I don't know what
But
happened.
and they kept telling us all these good fish stories about all the big bluegill that was being caught and all the perch and the stripes, whatever a stripe was.
We
But
thought
they-
it was stripers. We thought they were talking about stripers.
Yeah, but they called them stripes.
No, they're about that long.
No, that was a bluegill.
No, the bluegill are about like that.
So lo and behold, we caught a couple of little crappie, didn't we?
You did. I didn't catch anything.
And one stripe. I had the one.
I didn't catch a
About
fish.
maybe 6, 8 inches long.
I was
So
embarrassed
we
to be
got
there.
back into the cabin, and guys were over next door cleaning all of these fish. And lo and behold, they were these bluegill, 6 inches long, and they was playing all of these. And he kept saying, "Man, this is great fishing down here." And I thought, my Lord, he had never been any place to catch fish. He didn't even know what he was talking about. So he had to be from a city, no doubt about it to me. But anyway, that's just another one of them real disappointments. Real disappointment. That was my fault.
Yeah, it
But
was.
Boat
It
story.
was. It was not
Reminds
a-
me of the Benny
not a good
McCann trip that
Not a
Doug
good
and I
trip.
went. And John, you never went on any of the Benny McCann trips to Minnesota.
Thank God. No.
Thank God. But tell you what, we go in this bar one night, and there's one of these supper clubs, you eat supper, and of course they had bands, so we had to stay and listen to that. There was no guy, Doug, to help me out, what was his name? Stokes?
Come in.
Dougie.
He's talking to you.
I'm sorry.
Pay
That
attention.
one, Minnesota, we're in the bar, that old Stokes, was that his name? Wore the old Nazi helmet backwards and
Schultz.
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 He was close.
Oh, this is great. This is great.
Anyway, old Schultz,
Where's
he's up
some
all
ice?
night long, and he was drinking martinis out of a beer
He was
pitcher.
making Manhattans.
And
Manhattans.
had olives
It's,
everywhere.
it's a gin or vodka or something. It's clear, and he had cherries in it. And you spit the cherries out.
Seriously, he'd put them in his mouth and boom, he'd go shooting out there on the floor, and hell, these women would jump down on the floor to get him. We thought, well, this is weird. Well, anyway, the next morning we got up
Thank you, sweetie.
and
Thank
we
you.
drove.
That's my girl.
We drove Doug, probably 100 miles to another pond, to another lake. We're getting out there, going out there on the lake. Pretty soon we heard this clink, 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 clink coming. Looked out there, and by God, it was a pontoon boat, painted all drab red barnwood, and that pontoon was leaning about that much, seriously. He had a 3-legged barbecue stand, he had 2 bricks under one side of that barbecue stand to make it level. And he had chickens, like up there on the edge of the road, hanging by their feet, had them stapled up there on the ceiling. And he was the same guy that was in that club.
What happened?
The next time we was in there like, well, you can't believe. Well, what happened? Kind of back that story up. When we was in there, old Benny had this goddamn jacket on, said McCann grocery or something. Well, old Benny, he's out there in that boat. That guy saw that. He says, "Is that you, Benny?" And yeah, well, come with us. We're going to take over an island and have a party. We kept saying that. He just keep going, and he goes on. Next thing we heard, Doug, what was he playing with that tuba horn?
French horn.
French horn. He
He
got
was
out-
playing taps.
Yeah, he got out on the back of that boat as he was leaving, playing the taps. Then old Benny, he gets up in the back of the boat, does. Then he turned around and dropped his pants, shot us the moon.
Mooned him.
And then old Doug, I was sitting in the boat where I couldn't see it, but Doug said he got a good eyeful. But that was in Minnesota, and that guy was the straightest duck I ever saw. I mean, he was crazy. You had to see that boat to believe it.
I think the first
Hey,
time.
Daryl, why don't you come in here a minute?
I think the first time. What was it? Was the first? No, you had already been to Minnesota, maybe, or Canada when you and I. And Mel
You went to Minnesota long before I
Yeah,
did.
but when you and I, and Doug went up to Eagle Lake, was that your first trip?
Yep.
Your first trip. Yeah.
Daryl,
This
Get
is
up
the
here.
Only guy I know that we drove clear to Canada and got up there and fished for 3 days, 4 days.
now listen to this story. This is good. This is really good.
3 or 4 days. One day,
Now,
the guides said the fish ain't doing no
listen to this story.
good.
Now,
And we
John,
went out and caught fish and brought them back so they
we were fishing at a place called
Eagle Lake.
Eagle Lake, and I don't remember the name of the. I remember the name of the guy that owned the resort was Rainer Rubin. He was a German. And I can remember, pardon me for interrupting, but this is a pretty good story. We went out fishing for walleye, and we caught a bunch of walleye.
We caught walleye.
And we came in, and they had Indian guides, native Indian guides, hired by the resort. And we come in with our stringer of fish, and these guides come up. Well, where'd you catch those fish?
right
Right
over
out there, right over there. No. They hadn't done any worth a darn. We had been out there dinging around and caught a bunch of fish.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, tell me about this. When checkout time,
Doug went in and settled up with Reuben.
Reiner Reuben, he kept a tab.
Yeah. John went in. John went in and sat down, and I settled up with him. Then Mr. Mount went in and settled up with him.
Yep, this is a good one. This is a good one.
Yes. And he come back out a little bit and asked Doug, and I said, "You guys got any money?" He had taken his checkbook with him, guys, to Canada. And he,
From
Farmers and Merchants.
Yeah.
Argonia, Kansas.
Argonia, Kansas. Now, Reiner Reuben didn't know where Kansas was, let alone Argonia, Kansas.
And he would not.
Reiner said no.
He would not accept it.
Johnny Berry and Doug Mountain. Johnny Berry and Doug Height
Had extra money.
bailed Doug Mount out of Canada. He would still be there seining minutes if it had not been for.
True story.
That follow fact.
True story.
That was like a $700 or $800 deal.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't a, we're not talking Mickey Mouse trips here. This was a Canada trip.
That'd be a $3,000 trip.
And you act shocked that he didn't
I
take your
couldn't
check.
believe he didn't take my check.
He was insulted.
Never had a check returned back before in my life.
Well, you did then.
Yeah, I did then.
The
That was
first
the
time
start.
for everything, Doug.
Been
But
downhill
it
ever
was
since.
pretty late, guys. A lot of fish. We did. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Good eating too. Let me
I
tell you
think we ought to talk about the time we rented a houseboat.
I didn't do that.
I was on the houseboat deal.
You,
No, not me.
Ralph.
Yeah,
Ralph
you and
Bean
Ralph.
and Doug Mount. Ralph ain't here, so we'll have to talk.
Well, the deal was, we went to Texoma, and we thought we could do
Texoma Lake, and
we
we
could do
rented
as good
a-
as those stupid guides could do. We're going to catch fish.
This is a houseboat for like 5 days, wasn't it?
Couldn't get a decent boat. We had to get a houseboat.
We had to get a big boat. I mean,
So we don't know how to run a boat to start with. And anyway, the part I remember was so great. We was up in the cove, but it wasn't bad in the cove. The wind was blowing, but
it's an
Up
hour.
in the-
It's an orientation class of an hour.
yeah. And this cove, it was real calm and collect, So the old guy said, "Well, you guys be careful and have fun." Yeah, thanks a lot. So I take off, and old Doug, he's sitting over in a chair. He says, "God dang," he said, "I gotta go to the bathroom." I said, "Better check that out." So Doug, he was back there. He said, "I'm gonna go to the bathroom." And I said, "Okay." So he goes there and shuts the door. Come out of that cove, and all of a sudden we hit them waves and that goddamn boat. Boom, boom, boom. I hear Doug in there hollering. I thought, what in the hell is going on? He said, "Get out of that rough water." I said, "Well, I'm trying. I can't turn the boat." Finally got back in calm water and come to find out the toilets on that boat, all they do, they dump in the lake.
That ain't the way the story went.
They just dump in the water. Well, what
That
happened?
is not the way the story went.
The boat went like this, and the waves come up through the toilet, through Doug's legs.
No,
almost
that
clear
is
to
not the
sea.
right.
And he's sitting on that throne back there getting a shower.
Nope.
And,
That is not the truth.
well, you wait, I got some more good
I'll
stories.
tell you what.
buddy. I'm just starting on you. This gonna be
I've lost a lot of things, but I haven't lost that one.
Well, I can tell you about
You're
Tony's.
wrong. You want to hear the correct?
This is the other version.
Yeah, this ought to be good.
Everybody's waving me off, but if you want to hear the real story, I'll tell you the real story.
We're waiting.
Do you want to hear it or not?
Well, if I know the real story.
I know the real story too, because I paid the damn bill.
Oh,
All right,
no,
here's the rest of the story, Paul Harvey. They gave us an hour orientation class on this big old houseboat. We're tied up to the dock, and he says, "Would you like to take it around the cove and try it out and dock it?" And I said, "Yeah," and I drove it. I said, "Okay," and the first thing that caught my eye, we stocked the cabinets with groceries. We had chips, cereal, all kinds
Yeah,
of
we were
dry
gonna live
canned
on that thing
goods.
for a
Now
week.
wait a minute. You were wrong. I'm telling the rest of it. We had meat, hamburger meat in the refrigerator. We had everything. And there was a Mr. coffee machine on the cabinet. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Thank God. I made a pot of coffee in the cold.
It was calm.
It was calm.
Before you had to go to the bathroom.
Swung it around, docked it, and we tied it off. The old boy goes through all the gauges and everything. We had a charcoaler, barbecue, bunk beds, everything you'd want. We had a slide that went down off the roof into the water. Okay, we're fixed up. I told him, I said, there's whitecaps out there on that lake. Is that right?
That's right.
I said, will this boat take those? Not, you won't even know there's winds blowing, right?
That's right.
I said,
Yeah,
okay.
tell him that.
I said, why don't you take it out and show us? Right?
Yep.
The guy that's renting the boat took us out. Here we go. All of a sudden, boom, boom. Mr. Coffee goes on the floor and breaks the carafe. Cheerios are bouncing off the goddamn floor. We had canned goods all up there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
That's the real story.
Well, I think you
Now,
was
I
on.
wasn't on the pot.
Oh, I
and there
think you
wasn't-
was. And he wasn't driving that time. Yeah, he was on the pot. Another Army story. That's Doug and I was heading to Brainerd, Minnesota.
Brandon.
And anyway, we were going on there, and we tried to always be the last truck in the convoy. That way we could stop and get something to eat in the little town. Then we'd catch up with the trucks, and nobody knew the difference, you know. Yeah, one time we stopped in this little place, ran in, got some bologna and some bread, and jumped back out, and the truck took off. She couldn't find them damn Army trucks nowhere. We'd drive like hell, and we'd come up to an intersection, saw no hippies standing on the corner, said, "You guys see a Army truck come through here?" And he said, "Yeah, they went that way." So by God, we took off.
He was a hippie, he really was.
And anyways, we're heading to the camp. I've
That's
never
where
been
we
there
saw
before.
that biker eating with his fingers. Remember eating breakfast with his
Yeah.
fingers?
But anyway, we got lost, and of course we were way behind. And boy, all of a sudden, Doug said, "We better get caught up before we get to going in that Ford. It's our butt." And yep. So we're trying to get caught up. We're driving as fast as that old truck could go.
You remember I went down
Pretty soon,
first.
old Doug, he's over here, and he
I
said,
was
"Doug,"
driving. I
says,
was
"Doug, I
driving.
need help." He says, "I can't see." You know,
I couldn't see. I was about to pass
I'm
out.
over there, son of a bitch. You don't had the truck on cruise as such. God damn, we're rolling there at 60 mile an hour in an Army truck. No Doug's passed out at the wheel. Hell, I got the cruise turned off, and we slowed down and got out in the ditch. And old Doug, he was out. Boy, pretty.
No, it was terrible.
He sat there shaking. Pretty soon he comes back to life, you know. And what we discovered that the muffler was loose, and he was getting carbon monoxide. Hell, I was sleeping with my head hanging out
That
the window.
exhaust was coming right
So I
up
was
in that
getting
cab.
fresh air where he wasn't. Well, anyway, I said, he said, "Take over, I can't drive it." So I jumped there and wove all the paint. Where did them damn trucks go to, boy? Sign comes up, you know, 2 miles away. We thought, "God, still don't see no Army trucks." Boy, we go down here, and all of a sudden there's a guy sitting down there in a Jeep. If I remember right, and he points, like, "Go down this way." Boy, we come around the old corner, about as fast as that old truck could take it, and got down there. And, yeah, we're going in there and still couldn't see no Army trucks. And all of a sudden we go up on this bridge, and it was the Mississippi
It
River.
was the Mississippi River.
And that goddamn bridge wasn't any wider than Arkansas River in Wichita.
No.
And I thought, good Lord, I guess the river's got to start somewhere, but this is ridiculous. And all of a sudden we got to the end of the road, and there was
branch.
branch, either went left or right.
Left and right. And here's a band.
Yep, they had a band set up on bleachers. I mean, they had the
Right in the
tubas.
middle of this Y.
They had the tubas, they had everything. And all
That's
of a
what I
sudden,
remember,
we're
some brass
com-
tubas.
We're rolling in there as fast as that truck could go.
I mean, mounts hauling, and let me interrupt for
Okay.
1 minute. The brass, generals and captains,
yeah, big boys.
majors and everything standing up here, and I have to salute. Right?
right,
You're driving.
right.
Mount keeps saying left or right, left or right. I don't know. Left or right, I don't know. Left or right. I don't know.
He said left, and all of
And
a
I
sudden,
said
nope,
left, and all of
right.
a sudden I saw a flash of a deuce and a half. I said right. He turns that wheel, and that damn band, I'll tell you what, that brass bell of that tuba was moving like this. We moved the whole band, the spire reed bushes, the whole thing moved.
Boy, we got caught up with them, and we saw them, they was parking them out here in rows. Yeah, we passed up and just went out there and made our own park, got out of the truck and ran away. Boy, pretty soon we
Here they
boy,
come,
they're down
here
there
they
looking.
come.
Like, who in the hell's driving that truck?
Who was driving that truck?
We don't know. Oh shit, that was a bad one there.
Yeah, we darn near wiped the band out.
Yeah, that was scary. That old truck, it was dang near about ready to tip over and
I
break.
got to tell the story. Brandon needs to hear this. I really think he needs to hear this. For some reason, I don't know why. You don't need to hear it, but I think you should hear it. Old Mountain Eye.
Oh.
And then I want to get into Daryl and Johnny again. I've got some more stories here. But we went to Brainerd, Minnesota. This is another summer camp. And we're your typical young men. And we had a pass, and we went into, where was that town? Was that Ames?
Oh, no.
That,
Bob, what was
where
that?
we saw the Go-Go Girls?
Yeah, what town was that, Bob? We went to it this summer.
No, it was before Brainerd, where we saw them, where we met them.
Oh, that,
And we talked to them, we visited. And for some reason, those little girls started hanging on us. And of course, I was married, Brandon's mother, and you know, we weren't doing anything. We were doing something wrong, but we weren't. I don't know how to explain that.
You was having fun.
We were having fun. We were young men. But anyway, we fed them a line full of crap, and we knew they had lines of crap fed to them way before us. And I'll be darned, we get to Brainerd, Minnesota, we get a weekend pass, we go into Brainerd.
well, we're not supposed to go.
We're not supposed to go. And there's a bar called Esser's Bar. I'll never forget the name of it. We walk in, lo and behold, here's those two gals. Hi! Here they come. Oh my God, Mountain Eye was on cloud nine. We thought we had struck a gold mine.
Oh, it was rough.
They sit with us, they talk to us. You want to go out to eat after the deal? Yeah. Well,
They were strippers. Back the story up a little bit.
here came after hours, and they wanted to go eat breakfast, so we go eat breakfast. And Old Mountain, I was looking at each other like, what do we do now? Breakfast is over.
Yeah,
We didn't have a car. We got in there on a taxi cab?
yeah, or army truck, I guess.
Army truck, something.
No, we missed a ride back.
We
so
missed our ride back, that's right.
So here we are, stranded.
Well, what'd they say? They'd take us
Yeah, they
back.
said, "We'll take
They
you
said
back."
they'll take us back. We said, okay.
Fine.
Now, honestly, Brandon, we had not done anything wrong. We hadn't crossed any lines here.
Yeah.
I want you to know that.
That's fact.
We didn't.
Well, I found something out about the one, but we're not going to talk about her. Remember her
The what?
nationality?
What? Oh, yeah, don't mention
Yeah,
it.
we don't mention that. Yeah, anyway.
But it was well,
Well,
there's
what-
two things I want to do. Two lights.
Well,
There's two things to this story I want to get out.
well, you're
okay?
saving your butts. What you
Brandon's
do.
never heard this one. One of them is, when I got home from summer camp, your mother found some glossies of these girls in my footlocker.
That's fact.
I had not been with these women at all. I did not.
Oh, it was.
Now,
Now,
the other thing is, when we left the little cafe that we'd had breakfast in, we thought the girls were taking us back.
well, they
Okay.
rode along. But
And why they picked on us, I don't know. We were just a bunch of rum-dums from Kansas, and we couldn't figure that out. I didn't know we were that appealing. But the bottom line is, they said, well, we'll get a hold of Big Jim, and he'll drive us. Big Jim?
so I started getting worried at that point. And Big Jim.
Tell the rest of the story.
Well, they said, Big Jim's a good boy. He just got out of prison. Oh, I didn't want to hear
So
that.
we weren't going with just the girls.
He said, oh, he's a tough, mean guy. You know, he just seemed to kill people to look at him. And we thought, good Lord. And watch he come along in a Plymouth Satellite, two-door, wasn't it? He said, get in the
Plymouth
back.
Fury.
He said, get in the back.
Plymouth Fury.
So we get in the back. We get in the back, there wasn't no doors. No way out of that goddamn car. Girls was up in the front riding along, and Big Jim was driving.
Two-door coupe, Plymouth Fury.
Yeah.
We took out of there fast as that car run. I mean, we were squealing tires.
Mountain Eyes in the back seat, and you can't, like he said, you can't get out.
And boy, next thing, the old roller got us.
Hypo, right behind us.
Old Jim, he gets up and the girl hands him her driver's license. Her driver's license. That's when she said, well, he just got out of prison. He don't have a driver's license. We thought,
Here we are.
pretty soon no cop comes up. Of all people, he looks at me, puts a flashlight in my face. He said, get your ass out of there. I get out and I'm like, oh boy, take me to jail. I don't care. I want out of this car.
Say, where are you going, boy?
Yeah, where am I going?
Where are you going?
Camp Ripley. No, I was going to Fort Hood.
He said Fort Riley. Fort Riley,
I was
Kansas. We were in Fort Ripley, Minnesota.
Gave him the wrong
Now it
address.
says Fort Riley.
No guys
No
ever,
troopers. What?
more or less, get your ass back in the car. So I get back in there, still in the back seat now. They let Jim off. Well, Jim comes back, gets the car. Well, we were tear out and off we go. Boy, close to that warm before it was getting the better. But hell, he was driving 120 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah. That old Plymouth was just
Yeah, that thing, it was ready to crash. We get there. Of course, that was kind of basically the end of the story. But old Big Jim, I tell you what, he was ready to kill us. Yep.
That was a rough one.
He
That
was
was a rough
messing
night.
was messing with his girls. I guess.
I think those girls were messing with us.
They were setting you up. It
Yeah, it was
sounds
a bad
like to
deal.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They were getting ready for a little.
it was a bad one.
And Brandon, honestly, I never did nothing. I
Nothing.
didn't. I swear to God in heaven, I didn't. It was just a wild hair in our.
Oh goodness.
We didn't do anything. We did.
Nothing. No, nothing. Oh, I don't know about you, Doug.
I do.
Well, I'm trying to think of too many stories up there. I can't forget. Boy,
Neglect.
I think fair neglect on our part. We gotta get Johnny and Daryl in here too.
Danielle wants to ask you a question.
Okay, yes, honey.
Can you do the clock story?
The clock story? Yeah, I can.
That's
but
spooky.
Let me do that tomorrow,
It's not right.
because it won't quite fit in with this.
Okay.
I'll promise you I'll do the clock story.
Okay. It
Oh
is.
yeah, I heard a new story that I hadn't heard before, Dad.
Who says?
We were. Dan,
Yes, would you please stand up?
and you may have to repeat the question for.
Oh, it's
for our
Brandon,
cameras.
okay.
But we were over at Pittsburgh at that drag race, and there was a new story I hadn't heard before, but it had to do something about a train light. And
want me to tell that? Doug, you're still my best friend. Now, don't
one?
forget this. Oh, that's a good one. We was with Benny McCann on a fishing trip up there.
Uh-oh, train light.
So we're driving along, and all of a sudden, old Benny, good Lord, he's up against the window. He looks over. He said, "There's one of them adult movie houses." And we thought, what?
Oh,
I thought,
this
what?
is a good one. Yeah. This is the truth.
I tell you, old Doug and I, we was the damn
You know where this happened at? Mankato, Minnesota.
So old Doug and I, old country hicks, I didn't know what a nasty movie house was.
We was going
Never
to
heard
go
of
out
such
to eat a
thing.
steak sandwich. Remember that?
We went and ate, and after that, old Benny, oh, you got to stop. You got to stop. Okay, we pulled in there and stopped. We went, come on in,
Benny
come on
runs
in.
in there with his pocket full of quarters, and he starts pitching those quarters. Good job.
But anyway, Benny's way ahead of us. He's already in there
Yeah,
and
Mountain
dog.
Eye's like,
Well, I was dragging feet. I had reservations about going in there, but
remember
We
that
go
big
in.
old guy that was
Oh, yeah.
like a carny when we walked in on that
elevated,
high,
yeah, yeah,
elevated
chair
like a,
where you could see.
I don't know what you call it, like a
Well-
pedestal or something.
Big old boy. We walk in there, Doug and I.
There's
Nobody
all
else.
these magazines
There
and
wasn't
stuff.
nobody else in there but us.
Don't forget the girls here.
Anyway, there's these tables, glass line, had every magazine that you, well, there was
Sports
magazine.
Appeal.
There was he, she's, you name it. There was all this that I've never seen before in my life. I'm sitting there and old Doug and I was laughing and giggling, and pretty soon there was a black curtain over there, and old Benny, he reached out behind the curtain. Hell, I thought, well, can't get any worse than
They're
this.
like booths, like little booths.
And we go in there.
Little
With shower curtains, black shower curtains.
It looked like a
I
privy
never seen
house.
nothing like it. Oh, it's a plywood
Privy-
door
yeah,
painted
yeah,
black.
the
It's
privy
a
house.
spring. You close the door, go boom.
Well, the deal is, old Benny said, get you some quarters and go in that little room. Well, I walked up to my little room and I noticed there was a guy in there, in the room beside mine, and his feet was setting forward, just like you're sitting on an old outdoor privy. So I knew when you go in, you had to sit down. So I go in, I sit down, and there's the little coin machine. And what you do, you put your quarter in. Camera comes on right above your head, and it shines on the back of the
It goes
door.
over your head, shines
And,
on the door.
You know, you put a quarter in there.
Mount put one quarter.
Guy
I
and
said,
a
hell,
girl
that
come-
wasn't anything.
Guy and the girl comes out, he kisses her about 2 times.
You got to keep feeding quarters.
Well, it cost you $100 to watch film. pretty
Old
soon,
Benny was sucking them in there.
pretty soon I'm sitting in there, and old Doug. I said, what's the matter? I'm blind. I need help. I can't see. I looked over, and what Doug did, he was facing the wrong direction. Then we,
I looked in that hole.
yeah. And when that camera come on, it blinded him. He said, I can't
I
see. I
couldn't
need
see. I
help.
only got one eye, and I couldn't see out of it.
So he's over here hanging on me. I
I
said,
told Mal, get me out.
and old Doug's hanging on me. I mean, he's, and we go through the little curtain, and there that old boy is sitting on that chair up there looks at us like,
What's wrong with you?
What the hell's wrong with you guys?
Drug old Doug out the car. And old Doug said, get the hell out of here. Where's Benny at? I said, I don't know. He says, go in and get him. I said, I don't want to go get Benny. Finally, I go in there, and old Benny was running around there. Get your ass out of here.
That was the truth.
Oh.
That was the truth.
Yeah, the old train. They
Yeah,
think
that
Doug
was rough.
thought he was getting blind.
Yeah. Oh God.
That was funny. You had to be
Oh,
there to
God.
believe it. But the expression on that old guy's face, he probably thought we was a couple of weird guys.
Well, he was right.
Yep, just
Little kinky there.
Yeah, get to the hotel, boys.
I've seen them all
Oh,
now.
Doug ain't- I can't see. I can't see. I said, I don't want to see.
Oh God, that was right. Yeah.
But there has been some good times, though.
Oh, well, they
can't
were
think
all
of them.
good times.
But some real good fishing trips, though.
Yeah,
We've had
we had
several,
good,
yeah.
good trips.
Real good trips. Yeah.
Yeah, those were always good trips, even the
A
bad
lot of
ones.
good, lot of good hunting times. A lot of good hunting
Ben,
fishing.
I remember John, he could see a goddamn pheasant better than anybody ever saw.
Johnny could see a rabbit. He could see a rabbit's eye.
He could see pheasants too,
Yeah.
road hunting. We got a road no Johnson pheasant back there. Sure enough, there
I was
one back
with
there.
Johnny. Remember that pheasant I got that had the white?
Yep.
Yeah.
Looked like
I was with Johnny. That was opening day of 1976.
looked like you just got caught in a chicken house.
We were waiting for Mal.
Yeah,
He
I
didn't
finally
show,
got there.
and he
Yeah.
didn't show.
Yeah.
And we went out, and we thought
Foggy,
it was a
remember?
cat. Remember?
Yeah, well,
Running
yeah.
across the road.
Right.
Was on Jerome Gates's place. And I said, John, that was a rooster. No, I said, I think it was a cat. And I said, well, it may have been. And I said, let's get out and kick that. And we put that old station wagon in park, and we hopped out and crossed that fence and run out there, up it got, bang, folded up, went over there. It was a rooster.
Right.
It was a white head with white wingtips, and its tail feathers are half pure white and half rooster.
And it's had white feathers
Yes.
intermittently on
It's
the
not
bottom.
an albino. It was a
Just a cross, looked like. to me.
cross.
Yeah. But it sure was. Pretty bird.
That was in 76.
Yeah, pretty bird. Pretty bird.
Pretty bird, pretty bird,
Pretty bird. Yeah.
pretty bird. Okay, we're gonna need help. We got a lot of them, but I can't think of it.
Want to take a break?
I
Take
need
a break.
Daryl in here.
Let's take a
Well,
break.
how about the one?
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a
The
minute.
one out in western Kansas, where we went Fred and Moose.
Oh, the pheasant trip.
Yeah. Oh my
Oh,
God.
Lord.
Oh Jesus. Yeah. Oh.
What? What, honey? Could you come in here with me? Janet, you're
Nobody
full of
wants in on
stories.
this deal.
would be pure neglect.
She knows that one. She knows that one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Want me to do the new?
that was a little different, wasn't it, Doug?
Yep.
I'll tell you.
That was.
That was
Tell
different.
that story, John.
Oh, there was so many things that went on that trip.
No, God.
They would bail out and shoot birds where they wasn't even supposed to be, and in fact, we just got plumb goosey, Doug and I
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
I would not get out of the what
Well,
was
they
it?
were hunting on private property. Property said keep out, no, no permission.
Found the old hotel, that
The Windsor,
old Windsor
the
Hotel.
Windsor Hotel.
Ropes coiled up on the floor, tied.
I gotta say,
tied
I gotta tell you a story about this too.
tied to an eye ring.
We went to the Windsor Hotel in Garden City, Kansas, and I think it's on the National Historical Society list right now. Johnny and I don't know what year that was. That was in 69 or 70. And we checked in. It was $2 and something a piece, $2.16 I think for a room. It cost us. And we went upstairs, and I remember there was a colored porter that directed us up to our room. And we went in that room. It was 16 degrees on the Garden City bank, and it was sleeting. And we walked in, and that room was ice cold, and the curtains
It was blowing.
were blowing. And I said, God dang, let's close the window. Yeah, it is open. I went over there, closed it, the curtains were still blowing. Hell, the glass was broke out. And on the floor, there was a great big brass buckle
Big
bolted
ring.
to the floor, ring, and there's a big rope, like a tow rope, big,
Big rope.
coiled up,
Hemp
big,
rope.
coiled like a fire hose. And I said, what in the devil is that thing? I had never seen it before. It was a fire escape.
Threw the rope out the
You
window.
throw
went down
the rope out and climb down the rope for the fire escape.
Oh, it's a beautiful hotel. Man, state of the art.
Man, that's a long time ago, John.
Oh, yeah. And Boo's eating these goddamn, what was he eating?
Moose.
Yeah.
Oh, that's when the car drove off.
Yeah. Everybody jumped out of the car and it was all going down the.
We were driving down the road, and
Seems
Fred, I think, said he saw a rooster pheasant.
Him and Dick.
And Moose had, I know what led up to this. Moose Armstrong had knocked the rooster pheasant down, and it didn't kill it. And the rooster got up and ran. Well, Moose got out of the car and ran. And he'd stop and shoot. The pheasant would flop, run. Moose would stop and shoot, flop, run. He ran out there for what?
Oh,
Half mile?
yeah, no, not quite that.
Finally, he run the rooster to where I think the rooster just thought, well, it's cheaper to die. He died, picked it up. Here he come, bringing it back to the car, threw it in the car, and he said, that's it, I'm done. Unloaded his gun, put it in the gun case, and off we went. We're riding around. Moose has a case of that Hunt's snack pack pudding. Well, it's the truth. And we're riding around, we were by a popcorn field out by Shallow Water. Leota, Shallow Water, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Elevator.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Fred sees a rooster pheasant. Nobody else sees it but Fred Jones. There's that rooster, let's get out and get it. Everybody gets out, except Moose. Moose is in the back seat, in the middle of the back seat, eating pudding. He don't even look up. He's scooping that pudding in, one after another. We're all out in this popcorn field. There's no pheasants. But all of a sudden I look up, it's my car. It's going down the road,
Hey,
all
station
four doors
wagon.
open, and Moose is eating pudding.
Just go.
Moose! He looks off. Moose dives over the seat, hits the brake with his hand, smashes into the floorboards when he hits the brake, knocks his nose in, stops the car finally. We go over, get in the car, and we go on. But what an ordeal. Remember that? That
Oh,
was
yeah.
a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's we said at the time, we'll never hunt with them again.
Never hunt with them again.
No, sir.
And we didn't.
Nope. Nope.
We didn't.
Just, I don't know how we kept out of jail.
That was Dick.
And Dick
Dick
and
and
Fred.
Fred.
Yeah.
Pure neglect story. That's Doug and I again back in National Guard.
Uh-oh.
They were going to go to Missouri and shoot guns.
Do we take breaks? All right, go ahead.
After this, they were going to clear over Missouri and shoot guns. They told Doug and I to stay there at the guard meeting, take care of the guard building, answer the phone. So they go out and service the trucks, check the oil, water, da-da-da. Good, them old boys took off, and old Doug and I went out there. You know, we opened the hoods up and we checked the oil on them. We left the hoods up. I was going to check the antifreeze a little bit later on. First thing we decided, hell, we might as well go hunting. Ain't no way around. Ain't going to say that. So we load up the guns. We go out West Anthony hunting. Left the old guard unit open, bullpen open.
That was not a good move.
Hoods of the trucks were still up.
Bad move.
Well, we ended up, said, well, it'll be all right tonight. Just let them sit. We go back the next morning, but everything was locked up, the hoods were down,
Bad move.
but pen was shut, and we're like, oh, shit. Well, they come home that night.
They forgot the firing pins to their guns.
That's what it was.
Remember that?
Yep. Anyway, they come back. Know whether our name was on the blackboard. They said, oh, your guys' butts are in the ringer.
Vietnam, here you come.
Yeah, we thought this could be the big one.
This is it.
All the big dogs were in the office. Mountain Height, get in here. Boy, we go in there and sit in.
Eldon Cook, Eric Jacobson,
Oh.
Don
Lieutenants.
Drosselmeyer.
Lieutenants.
We had to keep a straight face. It was tough. We come in there, sitting.
Sit in a metal chair like this.
I was kind of looking at Doug, and he's kind of looking at me. And they said,
He said, what
do you got to say for yourself?
got to say?
Real loud, real bossy. Well, I'm sitting there thinking, God, man,
What do you say?
Well, I'm sitting there thinking, well, what do you say? I'm thinking.
We went.
I mean, I bet a minute goes by. Total silence. We're thinking. Pretty soon, you know, Doug says, "Sir," he said, "it was pure neglect on our part." Well, I'm over here like, where did he come up with that? You know, and them old boys would get the hell out of here. Yeah, we'd run out the room, damn near run out of there. And you can just hear that room explode behind us. Them guys just went crazy. Well, shit, I was already going crazy. I was like, where did he come up with that? Pure
Hey,
neglect.
I thought of one.
Oh.
Do the cheese ball story at Kiowa. It's a good one. It is a good one. I love it. We played a dance at Harder. Remember that?
Yeah, played dances. And after the dance, there ain't no place to eat out there, but we was hungry as hell. And old Doug said, I know a place over here that, where was it? I can't even think of the name of the town. Anyway, old Doug said, I know they got a beer joint that stays open and serve food.
It's a club.
Yeah, no, what town's that?
Kiowa.
Kyle. So boy, old Doug, he's out in the car fiddling around doing something, and I got in there quick. I was hungry.
Remember Donnie Hogarth was going to buy us drinks?
Yep, he got in trouble with that. He said, hey, you know what's up? And I said, not much. They go over here where the catering service line was. There was a big old cheese ball. That sucker was that big around.
Jan?
Then I thought, oh shit, I can live on that cheese ball. Even then,
Cheese ball full of sesame seeds.
Yeah, didn't have nothing else out. I said, yeah, that's gonna work. Boy, I grabbed the spoon. I started for that. Boy, this old gal come out of the kitchen. Boy, she,
Bartender.
you don't touch that cheese ball. Boy, cussed me out. You know, like, God dang. So I go over and I'm sitting at the bar and I looked in the mirror and I seen old Doug come in.
I didn't know it.
He's over here with a spoon.
I got my plate, my knife.
He's over there
I
eating
scooped a
peeling
bit
that
along
deal.
to that.
Oh, God. I looked over there. Old Doug, he was just peeling that cheese off, taking a bite every now and then. All of a sudden, she come out of that kitchen and...
You son of a SOB.
And then we leave, they chase us clear out in the parking lot and say, well, you got to pay for these drinks. Once in a while, hell,
Donnie Hogarth paid for the drink. Donnie Hogarth didn't pay for it.
he ordered them for us, but he didn't pay for them. You know, he come up to, let me buy you a drink. Yeah, okay. When we're drinking a drink, and all of a sudden we leave, and all of a sudden, hey, you didn't pay for those.
Oh, God.
She said, I'm calling the cops. She said, you guys are going to jail. And I was like, all over a dang cheese ball.
Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. Actually, I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did as putting it together. I never really thought it would kind of catch on, but I get notes from people on Facebook saying that how much they have enjoyed it, and people that I haven't even met before or known that have seen this on YouTube across the country. That I'll get a little message or a note that says, I don't know who these people are, but they're hilarious and I love every one of them, you know, and that's kind of cool because, you know, it's what was normal for me growing up. I thought everybody was like this. I thought everybody told stories like that, but I guess not. And everybody does. They just do it in a different way. And I think the moral of tonight's story is, you know, keep your friends and family close to you, because you never know when they're going to be gone. And, you know, if there's something that you want to capture, you know, stories and things, pictures of the past, do it. I have pictures from the past, and I've got a few of these stories. I've got a lot of them up here, but sometimes it's hard to get out of here and out to here. So I'm not really a storyteller. In fact, I'm a terrible host. So, but anyway, I sure enjoyed doing this. I sure enjoyed putting all these together. Just you know, keep all your loved ones safe, and it's kind of weird times. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm going to get out of here. I've enjoyed tonight. I hope I didn't go too long. I hope some of you are still watching. I haven't looked here lately. So anyway, I'm going to get off of here. Enjoy your Saturday evening, and I'll talk at you later. And I will post the new bonus footage, link to those later. So anyway, bye, y'all. See ya.